All right, excellent. So our second interviewee this morning, thank you for joining us. Can you remind our viewers your first and last name, please, and your title?
Alexis Hughes. I am the instructor for the Cleveland State End of Life Program and Executive Director of the National Home Funeral Alliance.
Excellent. So thank you for your expertise this morning. And so let's dive in a little bit more as to what the program is about. Of course, for our viewers, it is the end of life doula training. So, where did this idea come from to not only bring this to Cleveland State, but you're the one that has actually done the course and is encouraging others to, know that this is a resource. What does this look like?
Sure. So being an end-of-life doula is actually an ancient profession. And as we are seeing our population age, there was a niche there that hospice is overburdened and can't fill, that the facilities just simply can't take care of due to their needs to maintain a census. And so the role of an end-of-life doula really surged back within the past few decades of like being an active and emerging profession. And so I had a personal loss. And I ended up seeing a TED Talk by Alua Arthur that some friends had sent to me. They said, "Hey, you handled your mom's death very well. I think this would be a great role for you." And I watched the TED Talk and it was just transformational. I didn't know such a thing existed. So I went through several end of life doula courses and it really changed my life in a very positive way. And when I would tell people, "Hey, I'm a death doula," the amount of people who would say, "A what?" that they just didn't know that this even existed, and that the fact that there are people out there who can help people through such a transitionary time of their life, either that losing a beloved parent or receiving a terminal diagnosis or any other situation where death comes into the conversation, to know that there are people out there that can help you through this because we're all doing life for the first time, really impacted me to want to go out and publicly speak, be involved in community, just to let people know that, hey, this is a thing that exists. And I went to speak at the Elder Care Conference at Cleveland State, and they just thought it was the neatest thing. And so here we are.
Excellent. One, my condolences to you and your family, but in the same breath and in the same concept of what we're talking about, you have mentioned that there is a need. So, what is one thing that you think residents or students are, overlooking when it comes to this particular pathway that, they now have an opportunity to do so with this training? What are those questions or things that people might overlook when considering a profession like this one?
Sure. So everyone always thinks it is most noble to preserve life. We want to be doctors and paramedics and people who can help to prolong life, which is amazing, right? We want that to happen. But what we also forget in that is it is also equally noble to help people finish their lives. We want to be in that space. We want to have people support each other. We want community. We want people there to hold our hands because death is scary. It is the inevitable that we all share, but none of us talk about it. None of us think about it. None of us run towards death. But when we have death doulas in the equation, you have a safe place to express those feelings, talk about those things that sit with you. We also work very closely with our medical colleagues. A death doula is an addition to perhaps an elder care setting, a hospice setting, to work with our nurses, our doctors, our social workers, our chaplains. We are there to help the lift of everything involved in end of life care, not only to support the people that are dying, but to support the other professionals that are involved in the process.
Great answer. My next question is, can you, and I have like just two more, then we'll turn it over to Heather. I know we're tight on time. Can you walk us through how many people are you guys anticipating for the program? It's my understanding it starts on January 20th, and there is a virtual component as well. Just in the neighborhood, how many people are you expecting to be enrolled in this program? And the latter half of my question is, where do you see this being in the future for Cleveland State Community College?
We anticipate a full program of 20 to 25 individuals merely because that's the cap. That's all I can teach at one time, because I want to give each student an opportunity for personal interaction, personal feedback, and to really develop and shepherd them ethically and responsibly through the knowledge that they are getting. We don't want to just turn people loose into a profession that deals with those among us who are the most vulnerable. And once I think people are ready to talk about it and they see that death doesn't have to be scary, that can be a time of joy and celebration and community, that the community attitude towards death will change and the program will expand. Hopefully, I say beyond Cleveland State's ability, but as big as Cleveland State can allow it to get, I would love to see a huge growth in that here in the Southeast, where we generally just don't talk about death. We've been very ecstatic with the response so far.
Thank you. You actually answered my next question, but for point of clarity, is this the first of its kind for Cleveland State Community College? I just want to be sure that I have that correct.
Yes, this is the first program of its
Oh,
kind for Cleveland
excellent.
State. There are only one or two other university-backed doula programs in the country, which makes us really something special that not only are we out here instructing in this field and in this knowledge base, but we have educational and academic backing and approval from a state educational body. So the program is backed by academic rigor, as well as the final exam is the proficiency exam from NEDA, the National End of Life Doula Alliance, which is the professional organization that kind of oversees the ethical scope of the profession.
Excellent. Thank you for that clarity and congratulations. That's what I thought, but I just wanted to be sure that that was correct. Last question, as a professor, excuse me, a director of the program and having gone through this particular training to help launch it, what do you hope is the takeaway for not only the students that are, majoring in prospective fields, but, might have an interest? What's your takeaway that you hope they gain from the
The takeaway from the course, I hope, is just that we all have support. And as Mr. Rogers says, look for the helpers to be those helpers, to be not only the person who's there at the bedside or at the terminal point for folks in their lives, but that it increases their empathy and sense of community through all things, and that through that we unite with each other and just bring ourselves together.
explain anything else before I turn it over to logistics with Heather?
I think we got it.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. One second. So, hi, it's a pleasure to have you here today this morning. Thank you for speaking with me this holiday week. Can we start by saying your first and last name, please, and your title?
Sure. My name is Melody Alexander, and I am an associate professor of psychology at Cleveland State Community College.
We have an exciting topic here this morning. We are talking about you guys' program for the end of life doula training. So this is starting up January 20th. That's my understanding. Can you walk us through what is that for somebody that is new to the area or new to you guys' establishment? What is the end of life doula training?
Well, it's going to be a 6-week training. It will be online exclusively, except that we do ask the participants to join virtually on Wednesday evenings. And so I will leave probably the greatest detail to the expertise regarding doula work to Alexis because she is the professional in that area. I will bring to it more of the connection with Cleveland State and the psychological point of view. And so I'm happy to share anything in those in that vein if that's helpful, and I can tell you how we got started if that's good.
So let's start with that first question. How did you guys come up with bringing a program like this to Cleveland State Community College, and what is your role as professor in igniting this particular initiative?
Well, I'm the connection point between Cleveland State and Alexis, who's the doula professional. I did take the course, and it is wonderful, and I think that was important. But we have an elder care conference that we try to host for our community each year. And so we were connected with Alexis and she came and spoke to our group. And it was an area, even though my expertise is dementia care, death and dying, those types of things, I did not know about end of life doulas either. And it was so inspiring. And if you're familiar of the 1960s cohort, people born in the 1960s, approximately 20% are childless. And of the 1970s cohort, about 25% are childless. And then we have the dynamic of the aging population that's growing and their adult children living away from them. So having that connection point of a doula who could come in and help that elderly person or person who's dying, it doesn't have to be an elderly person, to help that family work through all of the logistics and all of the things that have to be thought about during the dying experience and afterward. Just to have a person think through it when you're feeling such strong emotion, it seemed like such a value added to the family and to the person who's dying to have that advocate on their side. So that's how I got connected and then contacted Heather at Cleveland State, who's our workforce development professional. And so she was able to help Alexis and I kind of get this going and off the kind of off launched it out there for the community. So we're just so excited to offer our community an option to help people go through such a difficult time.
You touch on where do you see the biggest need? Of course, there are students that are majoring in different perspective fields, but if you could just touch on, it doesn't have to be a statistic, but just the number of students or even the interest in a field like this where this is going to serve the greater community. What does that look like?
Sure. Well, I mention it to my students, and at Cleveland State, as is common in a lot of community college, we have a strong adult population and the traditional age, and we also have high schoolers who are part of our population. And I see interest across the board. I have a significant number of high schoolers and young adults who are very interested in this caring type profession, as well as older adults too. And so I know one of my students has already registered. He was very excited about it. He's a young man that is just looking at psychology as a career, but found this portion of expertise to be of keen interest to him. Strong need. There's a strong need. There are so many resources out there, and you really need that connection point, as Alexis says, that concierge approach to make those connections.
But last question before we turn it over to Alexis is, can you walk us through your takeaway, whether for yourself or for the students that are involved in you guys' program? What do you hope they gain out of a program like this? And as you stated, there is a need.
Sure. What I hope they gain is the sense that there is help available and you don't have to possess all of that knowledge, that there are people who can come in and carry that knowledge with them and help you make those connections. And I think that any age group, any person can help. And if you're not sure if you can do this work, take the course. The course will help you know if you can do the work or not. We had this experience in last semester. A person who was very excited to do the work and got into the program and finished it, and it became a something that she could look forward to in the future. But she recognized right now I'm not in the place to offer this help to others. And so if you're not sure, take the course and you'll know by the end if it's a good time or maybe a good fit for you.
You want to add that I missed before we conclude your interview?
No, we just would be so delighted to have you join, anyone join. And I did, as I said, I did take the course. And so even though I have a doctorate in psychology, I still learned so much. It's a very multicultural experience. So you get to, kind of be exposed to the variety of perceptions on death in our area here in Southeast Tennessee and across the nation. And honestly, this could be a global program.
Excellent. Thank you. And give me
Thank you.
one second.